Hi there. We love doing live webinars where we can share best practices and topics of interest to you. To learn more and to access the resources referenced in this video, please scroll down to the video description. Without further ado, I'll turn you over to the team.
Hello, this is Ken Accardi, and I'm here to welcome you to today's Ankota webinar on home care cost-saving secrets. And we have some fantastic panelists. I actually have, and I see on screen, I see Richard and Debbie Ward, but I don't see Trey online yet. Trey, are you able to share your webcam?
I am. I thought it was sharing already, but how's that? Is that better?
Oh, there you go. Now I see you. Fantastic. All right. This is, I think this is going to be a really interesting webinar. We usually, I would say, talk about, either operations or we talk about sales and growth. And today we're actually going to look at the cost side of the business and see if that might be an important way that we as agency owners can really improve, our lives and our businesses. So I think it's going to be really great. We have a super panel of experts, and with that, we'll get going. So let me go ahead and welcome the community. If you haven't been to an Ankota webinar before, it's really it's not about us as a software company or anything like that. We're really just trying to bring experts and knowledge to the community, and actually, if you're a community member and you think you have something to share that the broad home care community would appreciate, or even like if you're, let's say, Medicaid and in your state and you're like, hey, I I have some best practices to share, we'd love to provide you that platform and that type of thing. But our agenda for today is that, just wanted to welcome everybody. We'll do that, and then we'll introduce our experts for today. We'll go into cost-saving secrets, and we do have an opportunity for question and answer on the back end. So with that, I think I kind of made these points already, so I won't dwell on it, but we're just here to facilitate, and everyone's welcome. I very politely have sometimes had, even it's like, hey, I'm a competitor to Ankota, but can I still come to your webinar? I'd like to learn. And the answer is absolutely. I mean, we are blessed to be in a great industry that's growing, and that is, and I guess a rising tide raises all ships, and that type of thing. So, so really everybody's welcome here. So let's kind of go on, and so we're going to talk about, just sort of business 101 is that, if you want to have more money in the bottom line of your company, you could either do one of two things at the end of the day. You could sell more, or you could spend less. And with that, I have a poll, and let's see if I can figure out how to display this to the audience here. But I do have a poll that I'd like to share. And the question in the poll, and let's see if it pops up.
You doing that instead of us.
There you go. All right, so I'm hitting the launch button on the poll, and open poll on everyone's screen. Okay, I have to select the poll. All right. Perfect. All right, so I'm launching the poll now. And so the question that should be on your screen is, this sounds like a pretty simple equation, right? We run home care businesses. If we need to make more money, all we have to do is increase our prices. And then the question is, do we agree with that, or do we disagree with that? And we'll give you guys a minute or so to answer. It looks like I can kind of see the results on my side before you can, but okay, it looks like we have, I'm not sure what percentage of our people are going to vote, but it looks like about 70% of the poll of the people who are on the webinar have voted so far. And we have some interesting responses here. So I think what I'll do here, I don't see more votes coming in. So I'm going to close the poll, and let's see if I can share the results. And okay, so very interestingly, it's not showing on my screen, but do you guys see what the results are? Is that we have a very interesting distribution where, most of the, some people say, hey, like I totally agree that we could, raise prices. Some say they mostly agree, but it looks like the the answer on that looks like it's mostly coming up with people who are disagreeing and saying, no, it's really not a question of just raising prices to increase the profitability of my business. And a full third say that they totally disagree. So, so with that, I'm going to hide the poll now. And hopefully, are you guys back to my setting the stage slide? Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so if we go kind of there, I mean, so raising rates, I didn't think anybody was going to say that they thought that was the total answer. We did have 11% that said that they did think that was the answer. But, and most people we talk to, we aren't going to expect that that's going to be the answer, because we live in a world, we have a lot of Medicaid agencies that come to our webinars because we focus a lot on Medicaid in the Ankota world. So we have fixed rates in Medicaid. We certainly get to lobby for better rates from Medicaid and our government payers, but that doesn't always work out for us. And and then of course, if we are, let's say, on the private pay side, and there's competition in our area, we don't want to price ourselves out of the market and put ourselves in trouble. And then of course, some of our families, we've been dealing with them for a long time. We have grandfathered rates, and we just can't go back to them and say, hey, I know that we've been, servicing you at this rate for a long time, but, we have to go and change that now. So actually, just to give a little spoiler alert, Trey's going to take us through some of the math on that later, but it is, pretty much the case that we can't, just go ahead and raise our rates to solve all of our problems in profitability and home care, at least not equivocally across the board. So with that, let's kind of go. And then I guess, to ask another question, and since it's a rhetorical question, I'm not going to put it out as a poll. But if we looked at instead of the, kind of the raising prices side, let's look at the cost management side. And if we were able to change nothing, but, we paid less for certain services, can we think of any downside? I mean, if let's take telco costs. So, we probably have our phone number into our agency, our local or toll-free service, and they could, kind of, press 1 to talk to the front desk, or, for new clients, or, talk to whoever is going to help them with their billing and various things like that. And so let's say that we had our exact same phone system, and instead of, spending whatever hundreds of dollars per month on that, we were able to spend less. Or let's say our credit card fees were less, or maybe when we're shipping things out to our caregivers or our clients, we're shipping them gift baskets for the holidays, or we're shipping them masks and gloves and things like that. So there's a whole list of things here that if we had the exact same service and we spent less for them, I can't really think of a downside other than that you would have more money in the coffers of your agency at the end of the day and the end of the week and the end of the month, and that would be a good thing. And that's why we've really chosen to talk about this on today's webinar. So if I go on further, this next slide is from, some of you will recognize it from the Home Care Pulse survey. This is their most recent 2020 survey of home care agencies. And there's a lot of interesting information here that breaks down really the cost and how our costs spent within a home care agency, and it breaks it down here by the size of the agency. And then it goes down and it says, all right, well, we mostly, our biggest expense, of course, is our caregivers. And then there's recruiting and retention, sales and marketing. Then there's this little area down the bottom called operating expenses. And if we just kind of jump to the bottom line, that is ranging from 18, almost 19% to, I guess, on the other end of the spectrum, 34%. And it's and it's not in a way that's favoring and giving the advantage to the small agencies who are really trying to get going. If you look at the way that this rolls out, it's actually the smallest agencies who are just getting started and under $1 million or under 800,000 in revenue, that they're the ones that are spending about 33%, almost 34% on operating expenses. So with that, that's the area that we really want to look to go ahead and try to control. So I'm actually, as you see on the webcams here, and I cannot tell a lie, I have two screens. I have on one of them is my PowerPoint where it says today's panelists, and on the other I get to see the webcams of Richard, Debbie, and Trey, even though Trey's on mine says Debbie. So it's just kind of, one of those things. But and I'm not sure if you're seeing them. I hope you are. But I really wanted to go ahead and introduce the panelists. And one thing, and I think that makes this very compelling, is that Richard and Debbie, I've known them for, I guess I actually only met them this year, but I feel like they're old friends that I've known them for a long time. And they come from our industry. They actually had a software company that makes software similar to Ankota's, and they've worked with over 200 home care agencies and that type of thing. And now they actually we're blessed and lucky to have sold that, and it's gone on and it's thrived and that type of thing. But Richard and Debbie, they know a lot about home care and have a lot of friends in a lot of home care agencies, but they decided to shift over to the cost containment world. So let me introduce Richard and Debbie, and maybe I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. But also maybe in doing that, why don't you kind of share with the group here, like, why did you decide to stick with this industry that you know and love, but then also to focus on the cost management side? So let me turn it over to you and like let you take it from there.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ken, for the warm introduction. And I'll just say that I'm really appreciative for the opportunity to be here and to present to all of you out there. And we're really excited about the opportunity. And we hope we'll be able to positively affect your bottom line after you hear what we have to say today. I'm virtually certain we can if you give us the opportunity. And I'll let Richard tell you more about it.
Well, thank you very much, and welcome everyone, and thank you, Ken. Ken's a great guy. We've known him for a year, but I can tell you he's got a great company, and this is a great thing that he does for the market. Before we go much further, I just wanted, Debbie and I, we were blessed enough for 10 years, I guess, about 10 years to work with agencies like yourself. And we always want to make sure that you know that we greatly, greatly appreciate what you do for our elderly and people that need help. And we always make sure that we do that because it is really special. And so what motivated us to help is because we ran across in our 10 years a lot of smaller companies. We met a whole bunch of companies like yourself, entrepreneurs like us, and we as entrepreneurs, you sometimes struggle from month to month, and we met a lot of those people. And what happened was, you operate on a very small margins, most of you, especially when you're getting going. You have a lot of cash requirements, and so every single dollar matters. And we would meet people out in the field. They were great at what they did. They're very passionate about what they did, which is what you are, passionate about what you do. And then on the backside, on the operating expenses, there was some challenges sometimes watching those expenses. And when you're operating in a situation where you have 2 or 3, 4, 5% EBITDA or profit, every percent that you can save is going to matter. So for Debbie and I, what happened to us personally when we owned our software company, just a brief story, and then we'll pass it back to Ken and Trey. We sold our company, and we had some people looking at it before we sold it. And when we're looking at the expenses or the profit, they said, well, you need to be a little bit higher than what you are. And so we said, what do you mean by that? Because we had a pretty strong profit line. And they said, well, you need to be at X percent gross profit and not X percent. And of course, Debbie and I looked at each other and said, well, okay, well, we'll look at that. So we picked up the phone and we looked at our P&L and we looked at our expenses, and we found a vendor, and we looked at that vendor. We said, boy, we're paying them quite a bit of money. Let's pick up the phone. So we picked up the phone, we called them, and we negotiated a better rate within days of talking to them. And that was the difference between us selling our company and not selling our company, which was very interesting. It was a 2 or 3% change in our profit, which we were able to sell it. So even though these things seem small, they can have a huge impact on your success. So our passion became helping other entrepreneurs like yourself either through profitability, marketing, any kind of thing, want to see you succeed. So we got very passionate about watching the expense side of the equation. That's why we're in the middle of doing what we're doing. So we're glad to be here. Looking forward to having Trey introduce our ideas to you. So thank you very much.
Oh, you
Ken.
got it. Yeah, and just kind of an anecdote. So first of all, Richard and Debbie and Trey have helped me with my expenses too. And it's kind of funny, with COVID, I've been binge watching some TV, and there's this one show I never watched before that was called The Office, and a lot of you guys might have watched that. And before we started working with these guys, we actually had a phone system, and they had the exact same telephones on The Office. It's the same desk phones and that type of thing. And at the end of the day, I mean, we in our company, we're not that super big, and we had this phone system set up, and and basically we actually found that we could spend about 80% less on our phone system by moving off of it, and actually by not having those big old clunky phones and making it more of an internet-based phone system. In this case, we did change services, but we were able to kind of save the 80%, and actually it also helped us when we went into COVID mode and everybody working remotely. It kind of helped us there as well. So not only did we save money, and we got expenses as well. And just one other story that we kind of learned here along the way is that we actually we don't really ship very many things out of our office, but we do sometimes send those fobs that are used for kind of timekeeping. And when we first started doing that, we were taking them to the UPS store, and shipping those fobs was costing us a whole lot more than they are now. We actually figured out that we could cut what was roughly like a $30 package every time down to more like a $4 package. So these things, they really do help your bottom line. And so Richard and Debbie, I mean, I kind of started with them because they have really the home care tie, but they actually work very closely with Trey. And although Trey's background's not in home care specifically, Trey, you have a background that's really in kind of a similar area and a similar motivation. Could you kind of tell us your story a little bit about where you got into this and helping people save costs?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for allowing us to be here, Ken, and I really appreciate it. Richard and Debbie and myself have been together for almost a year now, working together, and our stories were so similar, and so the entrepreneurial life, there's a lot of similarities. In my background, I spent a lot of time pre-cost reduction helping moms negotiate. This was pre-affordable health care law, negotiate better rates on their doctors, labs, and hospitals so that they could afford that pregnancy and the delivery costs and things like that. And then we started helping elderly with their prescription costs and helping them get their medications at lower rates so that they didn't have to pay full price or struggle between, do I pay rent or do I pay for my prescription that I need for my health? All my history has been helping people lower costs. And this is just, as an entrepreneur, I could relate so much, just like Richard espoused earlier, that entrepreneurs struggle. There's months where you're like, hey, it's Cadillacs, and the next month it's ramen noodles, We've been there. And, every little bit helps. And we love to be able to come in there and help people. We were able to come in and help Ken look at his stuff. Even after he's had a chance to look at it, we were still able to come in and help him a little bit more and just, squeeze it a little bit tighter so that he got a little bit more savings there. And that's what we're all about, is helping people. At the end of the day, it's just like I teach in kindergarten. Play nice with others and help your friends, and that's what really motivates us at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's perfect. So, hey, I'm going to send the screen over to Richard, but, it's just kind of putting that in context. What you were saying is, I know that when, you're watching the sports match or whatever on TV, and then the drug commercials come in, and, you kind of hear them say, it's like, hey, if you have trouble affording these prescriptions, maybe we could help as the drug company. But I think what you were telling me when we were, in the pre-meeting is that, kind of getting the paperwork through so somebody could actually get their drug provided and subsidized by the drug company is pretty hard. And, just for regular folks to be able to do that. So thanks for, all of what you did coming to that. With that, I'm gonna push this magic button that says I'm gonna make you the presenter, and let's see if this works. And if it does, you should have like a button that says like share my screen or share my desktop, that type of thing.
Yeah, I think I just did that. And I don't know which screen you're seeing.
All right, I think we're seeing the wrong one. The one that says connected to the GoToWebinar.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so when you kind of hit the button that looks like a play button and maybe tell it to stop, and then it'll maybe give you the choice.
Let's see. I am obviously challenged on this one today.
Yeah, it's tricky.
How is that?
There we go. Now we're cooking with gas.
Excellent.
Can't make that bigger.
Well, again, thank you very much for allowing us to partake and help, an opportunity to help other business owners and just kind of look at what, give them some ideas about how they can maximize their bottom line. And we'd love to be able to do that for people and really share with that. And your poll was very telling when you talked about, it looked like about 66% of the room disagreed with raising the prices. And the other part was not sure if we should raise prices or maybe we should just get reimbursed rates a little bit higher. But absolutely, I want to look at specifically today, we're going to talk about, how reducing costs can help to the cash flow and a positive impact on the cash flow there, but in comparison to raising prices and things like that. Just give you an idea about our company and where we came from. Scully Mitchell originally started out as an accounting firm, and clients always come to accountants and go, "Hey, I need more cash flow for my business every month," or the bookkeeper saying, "Hey, we don't have enough in the account." We started with one client and helping them reduce their expenses when they came to us, because we're not going to go out and sell for them as an accounting firm. But we became quickly the largest independent cost reduction specialist in North America. And we have over 300 professionals, 140 locations across the country in North America. We began with Telecom in 2001, and that rapidly expanded to, within, as we started seeing marketplace changes, Telecom was originally the desks on the phone. That became desks and cell phones, and then it became desks, cell phones, and internet. And so Telecom is a broad package there. Merchant services came along in 2012. Small package shipping, if you're shipping, Ken mentioned about the little key fobs and all of that they send out, and PPE and all of that they send out. That can be, those expenses add up, and it's just part of doing business. Later in 2018, we added waste, and that included everything that you pay to have removed from your office or your workplace. So whether it's biomedical, toxic, hazardous, or even just the shredding or the garbage bin behind that building. So absolutely, we'd love to look at that and help there. We've helped over 20,000 clients and over $400 million in documented savings. So a lot of savings that we've been able to accomplish for our clients, and it's been a lot of fun. But let's talk about, cash flow and all of that and in comparison. There's a couple ways to increase cash flow. And it can be hard, especially in the crisis today. People are more concerned about cash flow than ever. So there are two ways. There's actually a third way if you want to count acquisition, but we're not going to talk about that today. That's a whole seminar in itself. But a pricing strategy. So you can increase your pricing to add to your bottom line. You can lower your pricing to get market penetration, or you can just reduce your expenses. And what does that do for results for your company? So I want to do a comparison today just so that you have an understanding of what's going on there and how that works. I think Richard said that they had to do that just to be able to sell their company. So that was, a telltale sign that, expense reduction has a direct impact to your bottom line there. So pricing strategy, let's say you're company A and you decide that your revenues are 2 million, your revenues are 2 million and your expenses are 1.4 all together. That means your gross margin is 30%, and your profit is 600. I know this is a simplistic view. Please don't hit me up in chat too badly over this. I'm very, for speed purposes, I'm trying to make it quick here for you guys. But if you increase your price by just 10%, what does that do to you? Well, you could have a 2.2 million revenue. There's the 10% increase, the 200,000. Your expenses would officially stay the same. Your margin goes up to 36%. But an impact to your sales has been documented through the Hedges Company report that it can decrease the number of sales by increasing your price. So you have to do up to 25% more in sales to realize that 20% increase. So you have a profitability of $800,000. It's a lot of extra work that you put and a lot of impact to your sales team, and it could be a longer play to get that done. If we were to decrease our price, your revenue would drop it by 10% or 10% there. So to offset that cost, you would realize if you just decrease your price, you'd have a 22% margin. So you'd have to increase your sales by 50% to just get back to where you're even. So that's a huge change and an impact to the sales team, and it may not be capable. You're not staffed appropriately and things like that. So now let's look at the effect of reduction of for results. So Ken, I don't know if you have another poll available or if you can do that, but do you have a poll that we could do for how many actually plan to do cost optimization as a strategy in the next 24 months?
I don't have that one teed up, and I apologize for that.
No worries. So I will pull up some stuff here. So according to Deloitte 2019 Global Cost Survey, 71% of companies are planning to cut costs over the next 24 months. Companies typically spend 35% more than they need to on services. Cost reduction targets are missed by 81% of the companies. So they plan on it, but they still miss their target reduction rate. So that's a huge number there that misses the companies. And then most companies lack the time or the resources or knowledge. You guys are great at home health care, how to handle the patients, how to handle getting into the homes, how to be safe for your people going into the homes and all of that. But dealing with vendors and things like that, that's not something you do on a daily basis, that you have to know what's in the marketplace and things like that. In a recent study, 80% companies had errors on their telecom bills. How many of us have had that bill come in and we go, weighs about the same as last month, and pass it along to the bookkeeper to pay the bill? Or it's just auto paid and we never look at it. About 80% of them had errors on it. And so that is a scary number. Only 4% surpassed their cost targets. So that is, we talked about 71% planning to cut costs and 81% missing their target, and only 4% surpassed. So there's a big need for looking at your costs and specializing that and maintaining that. So what areas could we help you in, or can we give you some advice on that? Let's talk about some areas that we've specialized in over the 20 years. Waste contracts, whether you have a contract or you're not, you're paying month to month, whatever. It can be any one of these colored bins, you know, just the dump truck, the dumpster behind the building, or shredding, or recycling, or biomedical, or toxic, or hazardous, all of those wastes. Telecom, this is broad. Everything from your cell phone has fees to the tablets that you're using to track what's going on in the field, to the internet pipe coming into the building. All of that is considered telecom in our areas. Merchant services. What are those fees that you have to pay as a company for people to pay you? It's kind of crazy, but you know, this world is going to a cashless society, and this is an ever evolving marketplace. Whether you're doing it on the internet, on a little phone device where you're swiping it or scanning it, to you know, just the terminal, the old-fashioned terminal that sits on the desk. Small package shipping, you know, people deliver products and goods to their customers and their clients and their vendors, and they pay for that service. And a lot of times that's not reimbursed in any way. That's just a cost of doing business. So how can you lower those expenses? It can be anything from a small package that's shipped every day to, you know, pallets worth of stuff that needs to go out overseas, all of that stuff. eSignature, this is kind of new for us this year, and really has taken off just from the standpoint of COVID really forced people to figure out how to do things not in person. And eSignature is one of those key things. Being able to send a contract or an agreement so that people can just sign electronically, and that is just as good as a in-person wet signature with an old-fashioned pen. Lastly is logging devices. Some companies are required. Other companies do it for insurance purposes, but they will track what their company vehicles are doing, or where their company vehicles are at, or how their drivers are driving on the highway. We've all seen that the little bumper sticker says, "How's my driving?" Well, they can track that now, so they don't need somebody to call in. So how we do that, and you know, there's a lot of things that you have to become a specialist in. You know, we monitor numerous rate plans, tariffs, contracts, promotional bundles. We've all heard those terms. We know what's in the marketplace. Scully Mitchell's been doing it for 20 years, and that's been amazing for us to be able to provide that at no cost to you guys. We review thousands of billing systems and make sure that, you know, they're accurate and they're billing the way they're supposed to be billing. We find billing errors all the time. Like I said, 80% of the telecom bills in a recent survey showed they had errors on them. But what changes technologically? I mean, we've all seen a big change this year, but technology is changing rapidly. And how do you evolve to that? And how does your business evolve to that? And what changes do you need? So you need an expert that can help stay abreast of that and keep you abreast, so that it's time that, hey, your business has evolved and you've had a business event that you're growing and expanding, and you need different capabilities. Well, what are those technology changes, and what are those costs related to that? And understanding regional and state requirements and differences is a big thing. You know, every state has its own set of regulations from all kinds of all those categories, whether it's waste or telephone, or even just the standard shipping. There's all kinds of regulations in there. And what are those differences that make a difference to your bottom line that you may not be aware of? So, Scully Mitchell, this is a shameless plug here. Our process is easy. We do this for free for your company. We have an agreement that says, hey, let us do an audit for you. That takes about 30 minutes. We gather some documents, some invoices from you, or online access is even easier these days. And then we go and do an audit for, it takes us about 4 to 6 weeks. We're going to actually negotiate on your behalf. And then we will present you some results. And we implement those recommendations only approved by you. So that's kind of a process there. The value in that is that you have somebody that's been doing it for 20 years on the same side of the table, helping you negotiate the field of vendors that are out there. What that does for you is, it reduces the amount of time that you have to spend shopping the thousands of vendors out there. You have security knowing that you're getting the best rate, the knowledge of knowing that you're got somebody there and helping you out, and then saving some money at the same time. 80% of our clients never have to change their vendor. It's a pretty amazing statistic. What we'll do is we'll present you a value report in that and show you where you can save money. And then each quarter, we'll show you exactly how you could save more money or how much you've already saved actually, compared to where you were at. And if there's changes in the marketplace, that report will say, hey, it's time to consider XYZ. So it's a great solution. But I want to help you today. So let's talk about some expense reduction. Remember our model before and how this applies. So company A, revenue was 2 million, expenses 1.4, your margin's 30%, and you have a profit of 600,000. If we decrease your expenses by 10%, your revenue stays the same. You didn't have to do anything different. The expenses drop. Now your margin's 37%. You had zero impact to your sales because nothing had to change, and your profit's $740,000. So a big win for you. If you just look at the differences here, here's where you're currently at, what 10% price increase changes, what a 10% price reduction would do for you, and then lastly, what a 10% expense reduction does for you. Very little impact, a lot of upside, and really makes it easy for you. So if you were not sold on initially that cost reduction might be a path for you, maybe this will shed a little light for you that maybe that should be in the plans. What's in it for you? We have clients that incur no expense on our part to utilize our services. But we're going to give you some quick low-hanging fruit today that you can use going forward. You use no internal resources. Our clients have no risk, and then they are always in charge of a no-go or no-go decision. Our fees come from found money. So remember when I said what you learned in kindergarten, just share with your friends? Well, if there are no savings, there is no fee. In other words, I don't make a buck unless I can put $2 in your pocket. 90% reduced expenses are more than 18%. Our average is a little over 28%. So our average savings is that. So if you're looking at what your expenses are, you can see that if we just hit our average, we're 28%. 80% never have to change vendors. So we've helped everything from manufacturers, wholesalers, e-commerce companies, healthcare providers, facilities, all the trades, all of these nonprofits, religious organizations. Like I said earlier, our company really specializes in helping and is motivated by helping the business owners. And these are all types of business owners. So some of our results, just give you a quick kind of review here. We've reviewed at a healthcare facility, their Telecom. and we saved them with $240 to $1,000 in annual savings. They had cell phones and the desk phones and the pagers and the tablets and all of that stuff was involved with that healthcare system, and that was a big win for their bottom line that year. Pharmaceutical retail firm, we saved them $92,000 in their shipping expenses. I don't know why I didn't put shipping on there. Franchises, 150. We've helped 150 plus other franchises. They have expenses in waste and merchant services and things like that. Other examples: landscaping client with 13 trucks or 44 employees, and just kind of giving you an idea of what areas we can help in. We sign them for ELD, which is their logging devices, their telecom, waste, EPP. Good example is e-commerce. If you're taking credit cards over the internet, we were able to recover $50,000 in deposits that the merchant was holding, that not allowing them to have those transaction dollars, and we were able to get them back to the client, right back in their pocket. So dealerships, all kinds of stuff. Those are good examples. Oops, I went too fast there on my mouse button. How am I on time? Pretty close.
We're getting pretty close. Yeah.
Okay, so e-commerce example here, a company paying $1.5 million in annual merchant service fees. We were able to just quickly kind of touch base. We were able to save them 50%, or $775,000 after implementing our recommendations. The important part is they got to stay with their current vendor, so they didn't have to change a thing. Other things. So I told you I wanted to give you some things you can do right now. In the current COVID situation, there's a lot of things that people are concerned about, and how can they impact that bottom line. So here's a great way. Check with your receivers before shipping, and if they're open to have alternative delivery instructions to avoid return shipping charges and delayed fulfillment. Do you alternate on pickup and delivery instructions? You can register with and I have a couple of links right there where you can get alternate delivering instructions that might help reduce costs, because you're not having to pay for multiple locations and things like that. If it's much slower, maybe you can temporarily cancel regular pickups and just go to an as needed or flat weekly rate. Those are just some easy suggestions in shipping. Here's some easy suggestions, and we can provide in merchant services. Reach out to them. See if there's a better rate that they can give you if your volume has dropped. Maintain the strong records, because we have seen some vendors in some cases where they are adding additional fees that weren't there before. One easy one that I can tell you that has gone up recently, I've seen as high as $125 a month on that, is this PCI compliance. Make sure you do that. It's usually a 5 to 7 question form you fill out, and you get that taken off of your bill. And it's a super easy process to do, and it takes less than 10 minutes, and it'll save you hundreds of dollars a year. Whoa, my screen just went crazy there. Let me drop right back here to the contacting us. We appreciate you guys letting us visit with you guys today. Of course, I want to open it up to questions, whether it's to Richard or Debbie or myself. You can always reach out to the phone number or the email on the screen there and ask questions. But I do want to open it up today and see if there's any questions today that we can answer now that might help you guys.
I'm glad you asked. So this is Ken butting in again. Let's keep that up on the screen for a couple minutes here. I should have mentioned in the beginning that in your GoToWebinar panel, there's a place where you could put questions in. And if you want to ask any questions, go ahead and put those in. But it looks like a few of them have come in already, so I'll start with those, and I'll hand them over to you guys, and you can decide who's best to answer them. But the first question that came in was they said, we're a pretty small home care agency, and do you have like a minimum size company? Do you only help large companies, or do you do like small and large companies?
Richard, Debbie, do you want to take that?
Yeah, we'll take it. Thank you, Ken. To answer that question, we do all sizes. It does not matter how big or small you are. Scully Mitchell specializes actually, and actually we always say this, that we're happy to take anybody, because one thing can lead to the next, which can lead to the next. So we're happy to take whatever size you are, small, large, medium, doesn't matter.
Perfect. Okay, great. The next question that came in is, it says, I already have a contract with my merchant services provider, and and that's where my rates are. So if I have a contract, does that mean that you guys can help me?
Go ahead,
Debbie?
Yeah, I'll
Or
take
you want
that.
me?
We
Okay.
can certainly help you. What we do is we ask for a copy of that contract and your most recent 3-month invoices, and we look at it. And like Trey explained, normally we are able to use the market to push down their prices, because 80% of the time you're going to end up staying with your same vendor anyway. So, but more often than not, we're able to reduce your current rates that you're being charged.
They want to stay. They want to stay. Typically, they want the customer to stay with them. They want you to stay with them as their customer.
Right.
So they're willing to bend.
Got it. Okay.
One thing I might add to that is that a lot of contracts sometimes have an early termination fee that are related to that, and we want to make sure we understand that and you understand that as well. Sometimes those are super egregious and they are just overburdensome on you guys, and we're going to tell you that hey, look, stay where you're at, because it's not going to save you any money to switch. Or to move to a new location, or they're not going to change anything. That's the advantage of having somebody that knows how to read those contracts and the complexity of the sale, of their configuration, and how to really look at it. So don't shy away if you have contracts to really dig into those and see what's going on, because you may have some options that are available to you.
Perfect. Okay, and this looks like it's the last question that we have for today. So if you have any others, send them in. But the last one says that, I understood you to say that if you save us some money, you guys get a portion of that. But if we go through the analysis and you can't save me money, is there a minimum fee that I have to pay?
No.
The answer to that is no. Yeah.
It's a kindergarten thing.
Think of it as a audit.
All right, fantastic. All right, so I think that I think that's about where we are. I think we're we'll just kind of keep this contact information up. I'll tell you what we'll do next here is we will turn this webinar into a video. We'll make it available to you, and I'll also make sure that that these contact links are in what gets sent out to you, as well as, if you go, and the video will be on YouTube, and underneath we'll put not only this contact information, but if you do have shipping and receiving, I'm sorry, Trey gave us some links so we could go and, kind of specify, hey, UPS, or hey, FedEx, here's how I want to work with you. And so we'll make sure to get those links in there as well. And with that, we will just kind of end on this slide today. And thank you all for joining today's webinar.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you, everyone.
It's great being with you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for watching this video from Ankota. For further information, scroll down and click on the link in the video description below. Have a great day.